In the small and charming town of Santa Rosa, the Santa Clara convent has always been my refuge. Situated on a hill rising through verdant fields, it stood out with its ancient architecture, surrounded by colorful flowers and lush trees, an image of peace in contrast to the hustle of the outside world. Here, within the solid, history-filled walls, I found a spiritual home where serenity and devotion intertwined in every prayer and every act of kindness. Every day at dusk, the church bells rang softly, reverberating through the cool evening air, calling the sisters to prayer. It was a comforting sound, like a lullaby, wrapping us in a mantle of tranquility. The scent of flowers in the garden was an invitation to pause and feel the beauty of creation. As I helped care for the plants in my daily routine, I felt I was fulfilling a greater mission, but deep down within me there was turmoil, an intense and silent desire that insisted on being heard, a yearning for something I barely understood. I am Sister Maria, and I often find myself admiring what surrounds me. My brown hair, always tied in a neat bun, cannot hide the light that shines in my eyes, a light that for a long time seemed to be fading. The mantle of obedience enveloped me like a warm blanket, but at the same time it made me feel suffocated. Nevertheless, this life, with its rules and traditions, was all I knew. The nights, especially, were deep and lonely when I found myself alone in my room, gazing out the window at the vast sky dotted with stars. I wondered what might exist beyond the rigid walls of the convent. What could be waiting for me on the outside? What would life be like beyond these walls? One night, the moon was particularly radiant, casting a soft glow over the sisters' garden. I was eager to step outside and explore a little, seeking some fresh air, a moment to reflect on my feelings and everything stirring within me. As I walked quietly, lulled by the chirping of crickets and the gentle swaying of leaves, an unexpected sight caught me by surprise. A man, standing at the entrance of the convent, fixed his gaze on me. Lucas. His name echoed in my mind like a whisper. He was an artist, a stranger whose eyes gleamed with vibrant energy. His tan skin and disheveled hair suggested a free spirit, someone who lived each day as a new page on a blank canvas. I knew little about him, but there was something about his presence that drew me in, as if I felt the gravity of an unknown universe. Fate had already set the stage for something unthinkable. Lucas had been invited to the town to paint a mural on the church wall, and soon I realized that his presence at the convent was more than just a passing visit. As time flew by, I noticed that his visits became increasingly frequent. With each passing day, I wondered how I had lived without him for so long. His presence brightened my monotonous routine, like a ray of sunlight breaking through dark clouds. Our conversations were filled with laughter, and my heart would race every time our eyes met. There was a game of seduction between us, an indescribable chemistry that became palpable with every encounter. His colorful, enthusiastic words told stories of his travels to exotic places, and I listened attentively, absorbing every detail. He brought me wildflowers, small paintings, and notebooks filled with sketches, each more vibrant than the last. With each meeting, the colors of his art brought to life something I barely knew existed within me. One afternoon, as the sun prepared to set, painting the sky orange and purple, Lucas invited me to see the mural he had just completed. The invitation filled my heart with anxiety and excitement, a call to the unknown. Upon arriving at the site, I was immediately struck by the beauty of the work. It was more than just a mural. It was a representation of life in its purest form, of love and desire, and as I gazed at it, I felt a wave of emotion, as if every brushstroke was alive and breathing. "Do you see this, Sister Maria?" Lucas asked, his voice low and soft, as if wrapped in a melody. "All this love. Sometimes it feels like I can only feel it when I'm with you." His words hit me like a galaxy of stars. I was on the brink between the sacred and the profane, and adrenaline rushed through my veins. "Lucas, we are different worlds," I began to protest, but he interrupted me, his intense eyes reflecting a determination I had never seen before. "Sometimes life presents us with opportunities that we dare not follow. I can show you what it means to truly live, even if only for a moment." That moment, I knew I was about to cross a line. The decision I made was impulsive and fraught with risks, but a part of me knew it was what I wanted, what I longed for. Lucas leaned in and kissed me, and the moment our lips touched, the entire world around us disappeared. Kiss was warm, intense, and filled with unspoken promises. I hesitated for a second, a fleeting doubt that I was doing something wrong, but a wave of emotions overwhelmed me, and something within me demanded that I respond. It was a plunge into a new experience, a discovery that shook the foundations of the life I knew. As his fingers gently traced down my back, I felt my body tremble. It was as if every touch awakened a dormant part of me, a spark that turned into fire. Lucas pulled back slightly, just enough to look into my eyes. There was something in his gaze that mixed desire and tenderness, a combination that left me breathless. "Maria, you can trust me." His words were whispered against my skin, and I felt the warmth of his breath. I don't know what I'm doing," I confessed, my voice trembling, but not from fear. It was the excitement of the unknown, of the forbidden. "You're living," he replied, his lips brushing mine again. This time, the kiss was even deeper, laden with emotion and intensity. I felt his hands grip my waist, pulling me closer. My heart raced wildly, and every part of me clamored for more of that contact. The night seemed to envelop us in an infinite sky of possibilities. Under the pale light of the moon, we let ourselves be carried away by the growing chemistry with each moment, without thinking of the consequences, only living in the present. Lucas approached slowly, with almost silent steps, as if he feared that any sound might break the spell of that moment. His eyes, always so full of life, now seemed to sparkle under the moonlight. I could feel the warmth of his body even before he touched my skin, and that simple thought made my breath falter. "Maria," he said softly, his voice filled with an intensity that made my heart race. "It's impossible to ignore what I feel when I'm near you." I couldn't reply. Words seemed stuck in my throat, choked by the whirlwind of emotions stirring inside me. Then, as if moved by an invisible force, Lucas raised his hand and gently brushed away a strand of hair that had escaped from my bun. Touch of his fingers on my skin sent a wave of warmth through my entire body, making me close my eyes for a moment, trying to control the avalanche of sensations overwhelming me. "You think too much, Maria," he murmured, a slight teasing smile playing on his lips. "Let yourself go just this once." I opened my eyes and met his gaze, which now seemed closer, deeper, as if he were trying to read every thought I was attempting to hide. The moon shone brightly in the sky, but the light I felt came from him, from his presence, from every carefully rehearsed and yet impulsive gesture. "Lucas, this is wrong," I tried to argue, my voice emerging in an almost inaudible whisper. But even I could hear the weakness in my words. "Wrong?" he repeated, raising an eyebrow and smiling slightly. "Maybe what's wrong is ignoring what we feel. Maybe the world wants us to live within rules that prevent us from feeling what's most real." Before I could answer, he took my hand, intertwining his fingers with mine. The touch was firm, warm, and sent a clear message. He didn't intend to give up so easily. That simple contact was enough to make my entire body tremble, as if every nerve was awake, waiting for that moment. "If you want me to stop, say it now," he whispered, coming even closer until I could feel his breath against my skin. "But if deep in your heart you want the same as I do, then let me show you what it truly means to live." Every word he spoke was like a dangerous invitation, an irresistible temptation. I knew that by crossing that line, there would be no going back. But I also knew that if I didn't, I would spend the rest of my life wondering what might have been. "Lucas," I whispered, not knowing exactly what I wanted to say. But he didn't wait for a clear answer. Instead, he leaned in and pressed his lips against mine, gently, almost reverently, as if he were testing the limits of that moment. The kiss started timidly, but soon became more intense, deeper, as if we were both trying to absorb each other's essence. I felt his hands sliding around my waist, pulling me closer, and instinctively my hands rose to his shoulders, feeling the firmness of his body beneath the fabric of his shirt. The night around us seemed to disappear. There was no convent, no rules, no outside world, only the two of us, wrapped in a feeling that grew with every second. "You're incredible," he murmured against my lips, with a satisfied smile. "I never thought I would find someone like you." I took a deep breath, trying to calm my racing heart. The feeling of being in his arms was both terrifying and incredibly liberating. For the first time in a long while, I didn't feel the weight of obligations or expectations. All that mattered was that moment. "And what do we do now?" I asked, my voice still a bit shaky. "Now," he repeated, with a mischievous glint in his eyes. "Now we live, Maria. One day at a time, without fear, without regrets." And with those words, he pulled me closer, initiating a new kiss, more passionate, more urgent, as if he wanted to etch that moment into our memories forever. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, and share it with someone you think would love to hear it too. Your engagement is essential for us to keep bringing more content like this. Subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any updates. Thank you for watching and see you next time.